All right, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Doug Sandler. That guy over there, Mr. John Browning in Southern California. Wait, you're not in Southern California. Did you move recently?
I
I
am
mean,
not in Southern California. Yeah.
oh my gosh, that's right. Well, it's summertime as of the recording of this. It's summertime in South Florida. That means it's fire season here in California.
There you
All
go.
sorts of craziness going on here. We just got I haven't lived here long enough to live through a wildfire, but we just heard like this warning there's a wildfire like 60 miles north of us. I'm like, does that mean that we're in danger, in peril? Does that mean so I don't know. I will let everybody know what wildfires mean, but as of today, I just know that there is a wildfire that's happening here in California, which is not unusual, I think.
Not unusual, but 60 miles away. I mean, those things can travel pretty quick if the wind kicks up.
I
So,
That's what I hear. Well, we're not dealing with the Santa Anas. I think that's the proper terminology. But we're not here to talk about wildfire. We're actually here to talk about let's see. I tried to come up with the title in my brain about how much is too much, or can you ever have too much, or something like that to retirement, or how much can you put away? There's got to be something in there. So, is there a limit, John, for what you can put away for retirement? Does somebody stop you when they say, "Hey, it's too much. You can't put that much away"?
yes, imagine that. The government says there is too much. You
There
cannot
is too
pay
much.
more
Well,
than X.
you
Yes.
can probably save as much as you want. It's just a matter of what you have reduced tax liability as a result of. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And the thing is, there are other ways to put more away
Oh,
that a lot
okay.
of people just are not aware of.
All right. Let's start with some of the basics then.
Yeah, so the basics is so if you are over 50, you can put away $8,000 into an individual retirement account. Okay.
Okay.
So that's just on your own, away from your company's 401k or 403b or whatever it is that they have, drop program, whatever. On top of that, in your 401k, if you are over 50, you can put away $30,500.
Hmm.
That's allowing for what they call a catch up provision. So together, that's 38,500 bucks.
All right.
If you really think about it, if you want to replace your, I'm just making this up, $150,000 salary
Mm-hmm.
in retirement every single year that you're retired, and it is somewhat likely in today's day and age that you will be retired longer than you worked.
Right. Okay. I got
So
it.
you start thinking about how much that is, and the fact that you're also going to fight inflation. You need to probably put away more than $38,500 a year while you're
All
working.
right. So then what is the plan to save more than that? And if you're even able to, I mean, some people that's even the
Some people, you
38,
can't do it.
right. Just can't go beyond that. But let's say that you can. What happens next?
So, the first question is, are you a business owner? And if you are a business owner, there's all sorts of different things available to you. It also requires that you be making money as a business owner.
Mm.
I know a lot of business owners, oh, you're a business owner, you must be very wealthy. Not necessarily. That just means you have a lot of marketing expenses, overhead, rent, and everything else, right? You're not necessarily uber wealthy if you own a business. I think that's a fallacy that I hear all the time. But let's just say that you have a successful business and you're making some good money. You can, depending upon how much money you're making, how many employees you have, and all sorts of other things like that, you have several options available to you, including the 401k. But again, that's still limited. If you aren't quite making enough that a 401k makes sense, there's the SEP and there's
Mhm.
the simple, which we've talked a little bit about on the show before. And those have varying amounts of what you can put away in the maximum amount. And there's also, you have to have the income, W-2 income, which a lot of business owners don't like to pay themselves W-2 income because then they have to be Medicare, Medicaid,
You got payroll
all
taxes
those
and
other
all the other
things, those
stuff
FICA
involved in that
taxes,
too.
all that other
Now we're
stuff.
talking my language. Now I got it. Now I got it. I
Yeah.
just remember doing all that stuff between going from an S corp to a C corp and then having to deal with payroll taxes and then should I W-2 myself? Am I still a 1099 to myself? Am I just taking distributions for myself? Am I an LLC? There was so many options, and it could make, frankly, it could make your head spin.
It can make your head spin. That's right. And for a very quick, again, not investment advice, no kind of tax advice or anything on this, but as a general rule, when I'm talking with small business owners and whatever level that they're at, I suggest that they almost always W-2 themselves some amount. That depends upon the business, how much they're making, and all of that. There's so many reasons to do it, not the least of which is that they're contributing to Social Security up to a certain amount, but it also allows them to put money into tax deferred accounts like the SEP, the Simple, the 401k, 403b, whatever. So then if you have a very successful business, say you're in a highly compensated business, we're just going to throw out a lawyer or doctor or something like that, and you're in a small practice, it may make a whole lot of sense to create for yourself a pension plan, which
Okay.
allows you to put literally hundreds of thousands of dollars away tax deferred. So there's and by the way, on the 401k, just to go backwards a little bit, if you have a small business, you can create what they call a safe harbor plan and add profit sharing to it, which allows you to put even more away than that 30,500.
Wow.
But you have to share that with your employees, but it is well worth it to the business owner as the probably most highly compensated person there.
Wow. Okay. So many, many different options, different shapes and sizes, and I think there's different products too. You mentioned something about insurance. There's some insurance products that you can use to help you get closer to retirement or savings or tax deferred status or something like that. So can you share a little bit more about insurance products?
Yeah, there's insurance products out there as well that you can add to it. Let me just go back and say one more thing
Yeah.
about 401k as a business owner. The other neat trick that you can do is employ your spouse if you happen to have one, and they can then contribute to the 401k, employ your kids as long as they're of age
Hmm.
and they are actually doing something for the business. You can employ your kids, they can participate in the 401k. So there's some other ways you can
Okay.
add to that. You have that flexibility as a business owner, and people don't think about that often. But to your point, there's also the idea of a life insurance policy. And insurance gets this bad name like it's a horrible thing. It's a fantastic thing.
Great vehicle.
Yeah, the insurance companies will, number one, give you a death benefit, which passes to your heirs tax free.
Tax free, right?
But here's the great thing about if you purchase the correct kind of like a universal life policy or something like that, not only are you investing it in the market, it's growing for you and creating cash value. But if you follow the rules and do it right, you can then borrow that money. If you're borrowing from yourself, you can borrow that cash value tax free. Now it reduces the death benefit at the end, but arguably, it's just your kids anyway. You don't care. But 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 seriously, it's also a great way to pass. If you say want to live your best life in retirement, you don't want to worry. You kind of want to leave your kids maybe 100 grand or something like that, but you don't want to set aside 100 grand for each kid. I have
Right.
6 of them. That's 600 grand.
Yeah.
Maybe if you've got 6 kids and you want to save 100, you want to give them 100 grand when you buy the farm. Maybe you pay $50,000 into a universal life plan, and then it's available for you if you want to borrow it. But then the kids get 100 grand when you pass away. That's what we call leverage,
All
right?
right. So you've mentioned several products. Are there any others that you want to touch upon? Because I'm curious about, you shared with me a very quick story before we hit record about the guy that was making too much money. He had the sob
Yeah.
story that he made too much money. But before we get to that guy, any other products that you want to mention before we roll?
Those are the main ones available. And I mentioned several that most people just don't think about because it's not
Right.
what they do every day, right?
Right. Right.
But yeah, the next thing is the champagne problems, right? You're
Yeah.
making too
May
much money.
Yeah, Robin Leach, may your champagne dreams and caviar wishes come true. Okay, let's talk about this guy that's I'm sure the guy that everybody on the other side of the listening audience might want to smack in the face after they hear I'm making too much money. I don't know, but you gave him some great advice or you gave him some great information. I'd love to share that information with our listening audience.
So the rule is you can only pass, I believe now it's $13.2 million
Mm-hmm.
to your heirs without getting the inheritance tax and all that goes into that. Well, so here's the deal. If you have assets of $13.2 million in excess of that, it's like when we drive, and I'm sure you've got the same thing in Southern California. You drive through some of these neighborhoods and you're like looking at $300 million houses. I
Yes,
mean,
of
it's
course.
like, where did this come from? Well, maybe it's a movie star, maybe it's Jeff Bezos or something like that. But
Tech guy.
maybe it's family money. You want to know how the Rockefellers continue to thrive today and some of the other big families? They've created essentially what we call the family bank. And you can essentially be your own bank. And there's some YouTube videos out there on this idea. But the idea of setting up the right legal structure so that you don't necessarily actually own more than $13.2 million, but the family does, but you still control it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the idea of owning nothing but controlling everything, right? That's how you protect assets from a whole lot of things, accidents, excess excess healthcare costs, that kind of stuff. If you don't
I
actually
should be
own it,
so
they can get
lucky.
it.
I should be so lucky that, that I should have to set up my own bank because I have too much money.
Right, right. I mean, the idea behind that though is fascinating, and it's not like you have to have 13.2 million. I mean, you can have a whole lot less and still start on the family legacy if that's something you're interested in. And you just have to be, you got to run it like a business. You've got to be somewhat brutally honest with the family members. All the family members need to be involved. There has to be a mechanism for a family member that does not want to participate to get their quote unquote fair share per the documents that are written out, and they can go and they can leave, but they can't come back. And then, somebody takes a loan for a house, a family member takes a loan for a house from the family bank. That's fine, but they pay it back with interest.
Mm-hmm.
It can be an advantageous interest rate, but they have to pay it back with interest, things like that. You buy a car, somebody wants to buy a car, they pay it back with interest, but they're borrowing from the family bank. You don't have to go to the actual banking system. And it can be a really powerful way to grow a legacy family business, but very, very few families do it or do it the right way. And a lot of times they just fall apart because they didn't do it the right way. But it can be done and is done with great effect. And when you drive down, right here in West Palm Beach and you see some of those houses, that's exactly what has happened. They don't advertise it, they don't talk about it, but that's where it came from.
Worth Avenue in Palm Beach, and it's Mulholland Drive here in Southern California, and near Los Angeles. It's important to keep as much as you can possibly keep and do it the right way. And the right way, step number one would be to talk to John and those at his company and the partners that he works with, so that you can get on the right path. It's not too late. It's never too late. Even if you feel like, man, did I just wait too long? No, you didn't wait too long. Even old guys like me can still take advantage of the opportunities while they present themselves. So, John, what's the best way for somebody to reach out to you to find out more information about what you do and how you do it?
Super easy. Just go to Guardian Rock Wealth with a th.com. There's a contact us section on there. Just write me a note. I'll get back to you. And lots of free information there as well. Or grab your cell phone and in the texting app, go to 321-421-5213. Type in the word life. You'll get a link to my business card. Got all kinds of free information there as well. Also a link to my calendar. I'm happy to talk with anybody, no matter where they are in their financial journey. If I can help, I want to do it.
And John likes virtual coffee too. So if you're a virtual barista, make sure you reach out to John. He'll be happy to share that cup of coffee with you right online. John,
Right
thanks
online.
thanks for sharing your expertise with our listening audience. Thanks for being here, and looking forward to chatting with you in the upcoming weeks.
All right. Sounds good. See you then.